Good morning. I'm Sheriff Jim Fryhoff. I'm here with the District Attorney Erik Nasarenko and the Oxnard Police Chief Jason Benitez. Today we're here to talk about the arrest of Tony Garcia, who's been arrested for 2 counts of murder of our victims. On January 18th, 1981, at about 6:30 in the morning, 2 newspaper delivery boys found a deceased female in the carport in the area of the 701 Mobil Avenue in the city of Camarillo. The delivery boys, 9 and 14 years old, called 911 and notified the sheriff's office. The female victim was identified as Rachel Zendejas, who was 20 years old at the time of her death. Rachel was living in an apartment complex across the street where her body was found. An autopsy performed on Rachel's body, and the medical examiner declared her manner of death as a homicide and the cause of death as strangulation. Evidence on Rachel's body also indicated that she was sexually assaulted. Sheriff's investigators learned that Rachel had gone out for the evening, hired a couple babysitters to sit with her daughters. After returning from an evening out, Rachel drove the babysitters home. Based on the evidence left at the scene, investigators believe that Rachel was accosted as she got out of her vehicle after returning home from dropping off the babysitters. Detectives from the Sheriff's Office investigated this case until all leads were exhausted and the case became cold. In 2002, the Ventura County Sheriff's Office Forensic Laboratory obtained DNA profile from Rachel's body. The suspect DNA was entered into the Combined DNA Index System, CODIS. The federal database searched against convicted offenders, and there were no hits. In 2004, the Ventura County Sheriff's Office Forensic Laboratory notified sheriff's investigators of a link between the suspect DNA profile from Rachel Zendejas case and the suspect DNA profile from the Lisa Gondek case, a homicide that occurred in the city of Oxnard in December of 1981. Sheriff's investigators looked into this case further, but were unable to obtain further leads, and the case again became cold. In December of 2019, investigators from the Ventura County Cold Case Unit began using investigative techniques, including that of genetic genealogy. Later developed leads that identified the suspect as Tony Garcia. DNA analysis later confirmed that Tony is the suspect in both homicides. On February 7th, 2023, investigators from the Sheriff's Office arrested and charged Tony Garcia with 2 counts of murder. Let me talk about the suspect briefly. Tony Garcia is a resident of the city of Oxnard. He was born in 1954 in Roswell, New Mexico. Garcia enlisted in the Navy in 1974 and was assigned to the Naval Air Station Point Mugu that same year. He remained in the Navy until he was discharged in 1980. Garcia remained a resident of Ventura County after his discharge from the Navy. Garcia was a karate student and an instructor for many years. The fact is, this suspect has been hiding in plain sight for over 40 years. Let me talk about my victim. Rachel Zendejas, resident of the city of Camarillo at the time of her murder. She was born in 1960 in Modesto, California. Rachel was the youngest child with 5 brothers. Rachel and her family moved to Camarillo in 1974, and she attended Camarillo High School. She was a single mother of 2 daughters. She was attending Oxnard Community College, taking classes in industrial arts to make a better life for herself and her daughters, but unfortunately her life was cut short. Rachel survived by her siblings and her 2 daughters, Eva and Monica. Eva was 2.5 years old when her mom was murdered, and Monica was just 1 year old. Eva and Monica are now both nurses and working in the medical field. Rachel's daughters and family have been notified of Garcia's arrest. Rachel's daughters are thankful for the investigators' hard work in this case and are appreciative now that they have closure. I'm now going to introduce Chief Benitez to talk about his case with his victim.
Thank you, Sheriff. Lisa Gondek was a young woman, 21 years of age, who grew up in the state of Connecticut. In mid-1981, she planned a 2-week trip to California to visit a friend who was in the United States Navy. This 2-week trip changed, and she decided to stay in Oxnard. So in doing so, she moved into an apartment in North Oxnard on the 1200 block of West Gonzales Road. She got a job in retail at what used to be known as the Esplanade, and made some friends. And on the night of December 11th, 1981, she and a number of friends went out for the evening. They first went to the enlisted club at the Port Hueneme Naval Base, and after that they went to what was referred to as a disco in the northern part of Oxnard for the evening. They stayed till about 1:30 in the morning, and the group of friends left and dropped Lisa off at her apartment complex. At approximately 3 a.m. on that morning of December 12th, 1981, a neighbor reported seeing a fire coming out of Lisa's apartment. Oxnard Fire Department personnel responded to the scene and extinguished the blaze, but in doing so, they located Lisa's deceased body in the bathtub in the bathroom. Oxnard Fire Department turned this over to Oxnard Police, believing this was a homicide, and detectives processed that scene. The Ventura County Medical Examiner the next day ruled Lisa's cause of death as being that of strangulation and suffocation, and ruled this as a homicide. Since Lisa's murder, to put this into some context, literally 2 generations of detectives have been working on this case. We've been familiar with this case for many, many years, and we are glad to see it closed. I will go ahead and turn this over to our District Attorney, Erik Nasarenko.
Thank you, Chief Benitez. Thank you, Ventura County Sheriff Jim Fryhoff. The Ventura County District Attorney's Office has charged Tony Garcia with murder for the January 18th, 1981 homicide of Rachel Zendejas. It is also alleged in the criminal complaint that he raped Rachel Zendejas in the commission of the murder. It is also alleged in our criminal complaint that he kidnapped Rachel Zendejas in the commission of the murder for the movement of her body near the apartment that she shared with her brother and her 2 young daughters. We also have charged Tony Garcia with first-degree murder for the homicide of Lisa Gondek on December the 12th, 1981. Because the same alleged killer is named in both offenses, we have filed the special circumstance of multiple murders against Tony Garcia. After more than 4 decades, the long arm of the law has brought justice to the Gondek and Zendejas families. And it has brought justice to Tony Garcia. As this case underscores, murder charges can be brought at any time. There is no statute of limitations for homicide cases. I want to thank the Oxnard Police Department, the Ventura County Sheriff's Office, as well as the Bureau of Investigation for not giving up on Lisa Gondek and Rachel Zendejas. I also want to acknowledge the senior prosecutor from my office who will be assigned to this case, Richard Simon. Experienced, seasoned, and skilled. He started with the Ventura County DA's office in 1984, and he will handle and address this case to its conclusion. This afternoon at 1:30, there is a scheduled appearance of the defendant. Our office will request, in accordance with the Ventura County bail schedule, that Mr. Garcia be held on no bail. I'd now like to return the news conference to Sheriff Jim Fryhoff.
Thank you, District Attorney Erik Nasarenko. I'd like to first, before we take any questions, thank the agencies involved. As the DA had mentioned, the Oxnard Police Department, the Ventura County Sheriff's Office, the Ventura County District Attorney's Office and their investigators, our forensic laboratory who worked tirelessly to make sure that we had the DNA samples that we needed. This is an ongoing investigation. We are going to be looking for any additional witnesses, victims, or anyone who knows anything else that might lead to additional charges against Mr. Garcia. On the camera, there will be the cold case email, which is coldcase@ventura.org. So no spaces, no periods. coldcase@ventura.org, or you can call 805-383-8704 if you have any additional information or if there are any other victims out there that need to come forward. At this time, we'll open it up to questions.
The connection between all three. There's the nightclub, but did they know each other? How did the three of them connect? What you could share.
You want to take that?
Well, what we can say at this point, certainly. To your question, what we can share is that in the course of this investigation, we have identified a number of common denominators that link the cases. However, at this point in time, it's too early to release that to the public.
Something came up about genetic genealogy. Now, is this a case where this guy committed some new crime and that's how he got into the database, or is that a different system that is now used, or what do you guys mean by genetic genealogy and how that helps?
Genetic genealogy is a new science that allows our investigators to conduct additional investigations with DNA data, and that's the rest of the information will come out during trial. But that is new technology that's now available.
Sheriff, is there any thought that there could be more victims out there that could be somehow tied to this?
That's why we're including the number and the email addresses. We want to make sure that we've unturned everything we can to make sure that we bring Mr. Garcia to justice for every crime that he's committed. Eric Nelson.
Had he ever been on the radar of any of the detectives prior? Was he ever questioned because of the of them crossing paths physically at that nightclub?
Not to my knowledge, but I don't have that information at this time.
And any insight into, I mean, we've covered, I shouldn't say we've covered a number of cases involving serial offenders. And it's rare that crimes like these get committed and then the person stops. Sometimes they go to prison, move out of state. Any insight into what happened after the second case?
Once again, not that I'm aware of. I think that now that we have a suspect identified and asking the public's assistance for additional information may reveal additional information that we may have gaps on.
Just one or two more. What did Mr. Garcia do for a living, and does he have a criminal history?
We're not at liberty to discuss any criminal history at this time. And I don't have any information on what he was doing for a living currently.
All right, any other questions? I was happy to answer them for you. But...
On the booking sheet, it says he's a carpenter, so is that not correct?
If that's what the booking sheet says, we'll go with that. Thank you, Eric.
Can you put the pictures in?
Yes.
All right, thank you all very much.